What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Clearance Rack Podcast. My name is David H, and thank you always for tuning in right here each and every week or every other week when I decide to post this. And today is a special episode because we outside. As you can see, we're not in the normal space that we're normally in. We ventured to a more luxurious space. And it's nice to be in the presence of somebody who I've known for a very long time. I consider him a friend, and he's also helped me over the years stay fresh, and now helps the world stay fresh by giving them all kind of dope cuts. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lex Andre, owner, founder of Marvelous Cuts, right here at their second location in Boston, Massachusetts. We're going to talk to him, get into his past, his present, and of course the future, right here on the Clearance Rack Podcast. So without further ado, welcome, Lex Andre. How you feeling, my man?
Man, I'm excited, man. Thank you for having me over this. When we seen each other a couple weeks ago, we just basically threw it in the air, and here we are.
And here we are, man. Sometimes it's like that, and that's the best thing. Sometimes it's just the organic thing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So first of all, let's just talk about where we're at right now, because this, barbershops, obviously, people maybe tend to know what barbershops look like, but this is unlike any barbershop I've ever seen. I mean, this is luxurious, this is fresh. This don't look like the kind of barbershop where bootleggers be trying to walk in and sell movies.
Oh, I mean, they sell a different kind of movies in here. We selling dreams, right?
In here, they got the good bootlegs.
Yeah,
they don't got like
bootlegs.
the bootlegs where people's heads be in the cameras.
Nah.
They only sell the good bootlegs.
4K only, you know what I'm
4K
saying?
bootlegs. But no, for real, let's just first of all, for the people, describe where we're at in this space.
All right, so right now we're at 82 Broad Street in the Financial District in Boston. In front of the Hilton Hotel. We're right on the waterfront. You got the Boston Harbor Hotel. You got the Langham up the street. So it's a financial sector. You get a lot of working professionals here, but you get a lot of tourists as well. Yeah, man, we here. We downtown. We in the center of Massachusetts.
I feel you. And for the people who obviously may not know your history, real quick, let's talk about you as a person and your early beginnings with becoming a barber and where that passion came from.
Early beginnings. So with me, I'd say I have to go back all the way through, like since I was a child. You know, I'm a second generation barber. My father's been doing this for over 35 years. Wow. So kind of grew up in the barber shop. A lot of things happened along the way and led me to, being a barber. But I started actually cutting hair really young. It started with me just, experimented at the house. I always had clippers at the house, being that my father, was in the industry, or he's still in the industry. So friends came over, and I was like, you know what? I was already dabbling into arts. As a kid, I did a lot of arts and craft. So I always thought that I was good with my hands, and started cutting, my friends around the neighborhood. Next thing you know, they wouldn't leave me alone. Every week they want to come by and get a haircut. And I never thought anything of it. It was just something I did on the weekend. And I was like, man, I got to charge them off.
So it's time to get paid.
Exactly.
Brothers can't be coming over getting fresh, and you ain't collecting nothing.
Exactly. So, get paid $5 a lineup, maybe $10 a cut for, at the most. If somebody gave you $10, man, I really made bread.
Yeah, I mean, you came a long way from charging $10 now, because haircuts ain't the same.
Exactly.
10 years ago's price ain't today's price. But
yesterday's price is not today's price.
Exactly. No, but all right. So it goes from a hobby. Your father's cutting hair in the house. You start cutting your friends. How does that hobby then transition to a profession?
So, I realized, I was like, why go look for a job? Especially as I got into high school, and most of my friends, they either working at Burger King, McDonald's, one of these, entry-level positions that, normally we all do as a teenager. I said, I have something that I harnessed, thankfully, through my father. And I had this little room in the three-family unit that we used to live at the time, and we cleaned out. It was literally like a storage space, no lie. It was like no bigger than 8 by 10. If I'm saying 8 by 10, it might even be exaggerating, but it was somewhere around there. You couldn't fit more than 5 people in there without the windows turning foggy, if you know what I mean. We had a little space, and I started cutting people there, to the point that I got so busy that I started having strangers come into the house, and I didn't like that. My idea was never to turn it into a business, and I started, dabbling in researching and just finding more about entrepreneurship. Then, when I was at Massasoit at the time. I took some business courses there, just to kind of learn a little bit more and expand my knowledge. And something that became of interest. Then eventually in 2010, we opened Marvelous Cuts on Main Street in Brockton, and it instantly just became a success, And even then, I was unsure about being a barber full time. My goal was just to get it going and eventually see what will happen.
And here we are, 2 barbershops later. So
exactly.
I don't know this dream of yours to do something else. I think clearly people recognized your talent early, and you were able to capitalize off that. And sometimes you never know. It's like, we may want to do other things, and we still can, but sometimes our natural abilities just take over. And clearly this was a situation where this happened, because here we are 2 barbershops later, and you're successful.
If you want to consider that,
No, well, I mean, we here, and I can look around and I can tell that you're successful. I mean, you came a long way from the 5x5 room.
I would definitely say so. I've seen and worked in other shops, and I felt that I can do something that was different.
Yep.
So when we opened Marvelous, we treated it like family, but at the same time, we wanted to give it a different level of professionalism, where people, because we always seen these these are before the meme times, and where people always talk about bad barbershop experience. Oh, I went there, the dude is like on the phone, while he's cutting my hair, or he stepped out to get food and told me he'll be right back, and then come back in a half hour.
Where you go to, they finally call your name to go get in the chair, and then your barber be like, hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And then an hour later comes back, you're like, bruh, what happened?
Yeah. So we didn't want to be the statistics of that. We wanted to break the barriers in that community. And I asked myself, and I said this, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be mediocre at it, then I'm not going to do it at all, just because it'll be a waste of time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put my best effort forward and do it at the high level of excellence, where people will appreciate it, but also where they will see the difference, because a lot of people want to charge a certain price for a service or to deliver a product, but say if the product doesn't have quality. So to me, the product in general is the whole establishment. It's not just the haircut.
It's experience.
Correct.
So when I first moved to Brockton, and I was looking for a barber, one of the first things I asked, obviously you ask the people and they're like, yo, you got to go to Marvelous Cuts, check out my man Lex. And I was like, all right, let me go down there. And obviously when you walk into a place for the first time, especially a barbershop, because, I feel like as men, our hair, if we have hair, is very important to us. You know what I mean? And the last thing we want to do is mess that up, because
absolutely
it
not.
kind of is like how people identify and
Correct.
know us. So when I walked in to Marvelous Cuts, one of the first things I noticed was how nice the shop was. Because, I've been to a lot of barbershops, and, some barbershops are decent, but some of them are just a little older. And it's not that the quality's bad, but when I walked into this shop specifically, it felt professional. It was clean. You had like a receptionist there. It was busy. So I was like, yo, I felt confident that I was going to be getting a good product. So I think it's very important that you saw that early on, that it wasn't just about the haircut.
Correct.
It was about, you want to walk into an establishment where you feel like, damn, all right, this is nice. And I mean, clearly you still maintain that effort. But when did you open Marvelous Cuts in Brockton?
2010, May of 2010.
May 2010.
Yeah.
So here we are, 13 years, almost going on 13 years later.
13 years, yeah.
I mean, that's an accomplishment in itself, man.
Thank
13
you, man.
years having a successful business, so successful that you've been able to open up this, another.
Depending on who you're talking to. Some people might have said I took too long to open a second location. But I appreciate that.
I'm not going to be one of those people. I appreciate the patience and detail probably that you wanted to do to open up this shop. But let's just talk about what 12 years in a barbershop, owning it, working in it, has taught you.
If you don't embody the life of a barber, you will never be successful in this business.
Yeah.
Because it takes dedication, patience, it takes humility to be able to service another human being, to be able to say, I put you, to be I wouldn't say a servant, but you are serving somebody. Yeah. So you are taking care of their needs. So, and that means you have to have a lot of charisma. you have to have humility.
Yep.
You know, to be able to do this and do it correctly, because if you come of a place of arrogance, no matter how good you do it, people eventually will break away.
Exactly.
And it's relationship building at the end of the day, because a lot of people, sometimes you'll see this. Some people say, oh, I've been with my barbers for 14 years. Then you look at their cut, like, God damn, I need to give this dude another barber. But it's not even about the haircut.
Yeah,
It's the personal development of the years of being in business with that person that becomes sentimental.
Yeah.
And people follow through with that, and there's a loyalty, aspect of it.
There's definitely a loyalty aspect, because I mean, when you find a good barber, it's like an extension of your family. Like, it's another family member.
Correct.
Because that person, if you stay with that person for years and years, I mean, you know just as much about them as they know about you.
Yeah.
And that person is really responsible for your, sense of like having a haircut for a man, for anybody, women included. Like, it's a sense of pride. Like,
Absolutely.
we take pride in how we look, and we want our haircut to be a reflection of who we are. It doesn't make us, but it's important when we got a nice cut.
No, absolutely.
So you want
absolutely.
to develop, having that relationship with your barber is important.
Yeah. No, I highly agree. I think in any service industry, people look for relationships, and relationships bring confidence, but it also brings trust. You know what I'm saying? I mean, those words are very aligned with each other, trust and confidence. But you could be confident in going to somebody because you've seen their resume, but can you trust that person without knowing that personal connection? You know what I'm saying? And this is why you'll see a lot of memes, and you'll see like client loyalty sometimes break relationships in barbershops. And I've seen it in shops that I worked before. We started Marvelous. I've seen people that don't get along in shop because maybe the person was out and a client needed a cut and got a cut with somebody else. Yeah. So it's almost like
sometimes that's all it takes.
It's literally like cheating.
Your client.
It's cheating on a relationship.
Yeah.
But when we opened Marvelous Cuts, we had a different mentality about how we wanted to take that on, because we wanted a place where we can demonstrate consistency, where we demonstrated education throughout the skill level of all the barbers, what I like to consider part of Team Marvelous. And I don't know if you've experienced this with me, but we like to welcome people, and if you have a specific barber, we respect it. And if you're willing to wait for that person, nobody gets angry, that's fine. But even if somebody is your client, the goal is to move the product in and out.
Exactly.
So the product being the haircut. So if we know that somebody else is available, we like that person to cater to you and service you, so you don't wait too long. And everybody eats, because we believe that the shop will constantly have business. Yeah. So somebody waiting there not being serviced, you're holding business behind.
No, I think that's a good business model.
You know what I'm saying?
And I can attest that that's true, because there were times where I walk in, maybe sometimes without an appointment, and obviously I come to see you, but you would just be like, hey, you can, if you don't mind, you can go see my father. I've got a cut from your father. You have some other barbers in there. And I felt confident that while I may want to get a cut from Lex, I'm going to be good no matter who I go to.
And you're going to walk out without hard feelings.
Exactly.
Like how Lex is going to see me if he sees
exactly.
me. So I never.
That's true. I'm thinking back on it. I really like that about going there. Like, one, that I could go to multiple people and still get a cut, but also nobody got mad if you bounced around and went to your father or the other gentleman or this person. It was nice to have that.
Because that's a scarcity mindset, and that mindset right there actually traps barbers and stunt their growth, because what happens is you have this cutthroat business where this is the reason why also price stayed very low in the barbershop for a very long time, until social media came in. You had people speak on these things, and people finally got educated about it. But it's this thing, if you're charging 10, I'm going to charge 8 so I can steal your client. But people don't realize, but going back to everything that we said about personal relationships, somebody just being your barber for 10 years, no matter how bad they cut, people stay with us. And there's a thing, like, if you have 400 clients, you will be booked all day, every day, if you work 6 days a week at least, right? 400 clients you can work, 8 hours a day, depending on how fast you cut. But it's the scarcity mindset that keeps barbers trapped. Instead of putting their price based on their service, they compare to other people's price and have cutthroat. And that's done a lot of people. And some people might not agree with this, but we changed that industry in our community because we had a different mindset about it.
Well, clearly it's been successful and clearly it's working. Talk about, obviously the barbershop itself is important to the community, but the community is also important to you. And you don't just, take from the clients, you also give back. Talk about some of the things that you've been able to do in the community, whether it's working with the patrons or back to school. Why is giving back to the community important to you?
Oh, giving back to the community, it's part of your own philanthropy work in life. And that's the beauty of being a barber, is because part of your work, that giving back, is like, say you working for a corporation and you guys have to go to a fundraiser, and you have that several times out of the year where there's a banquet where your company sends the people out and you do either community service or you do an intern, for example, right? And that's the part of barbering that I think is important, is our philanthropy piece that's attached to the career. But also too is showing people that you're not just in the business to hustle people, but you're also in the business to give back. Whether it's giving somebody a free haircut because they lost a job, or they got a job interview in that day, and you know that they haven't had a job for a while. So say, listen, this right here is that faith that I'm putting in you to show you how much I trust in you, that you're gonna get this job, and this is a confident booster. And I'm giving you this as a gift.
Exactly. And a haircut is one of those things that's transformative because it means so much to a person. I mean, there's nothing. There are very few things that feel as good as getting a haircut, especially when you really need one. When
I have that feeling sometimes. As busy as I am as a barber sometimes. Sometimes you might go a couple of weeks without a haircut. Then you get that haircut, especially when you go a little while without a haircut, you get that haircut. And for me, that's important.
Yeah, and to be able to give that feeling that we all know to somebody else has to just be that much of a great feeling.
It's satisfying to. It's very satisfying to always watch people leave your chair happy. And making people feel good, I think, is part of the job that makes you want to do this job more, because you strain your eyes, you're up on your feet a lot. It could be a strange job on your body. And some people don't appreciate that. And so I think it's the part of making people feel good that's important. But the other part of barbering is that you have different types of barber. You have the comedian barber who likes to make people laugh. You have the barber that is about service. He's not really a talker, but then he finds his way in making you feel relaxed. Like you might had a hectic day and you were around a lot of people, and you want to just go somewhere you don't want nobody to talk. So sometimes some people, that's why they go to the barber that doesn't talk, because they don't want to say nothing themselves. So everybody finds the personality and where they want to fit in with who they think is the right barber for them. Then you have the nurturing barber, like they just want to stay on you all day, pamper you, because his ideology as a barber is every cut is gonna be exceptional. So they don't really care about making a lot of money, so they do that.
So there's many personalities in barber.
Then you have the psychologist barber, or the philosopher barber, however you want to look at it. Because over the years, as a barber, not only you become socially inclined, right? But you also hear a lot of people's pain. You hear people's growth. You hear people's family matter, and it either teaches you two things. It teaches you how to be a great listener or give great advice. You know what I'm saying? So I think over the years, you kind of grow strength in that social aspect of it.
COVID affected everybody in one way or another. Unfortunately, lives were lost. So some people experienced it on a much more difficult level. But COVID also affected businesses, and barbershops were one of those businesses specifically where unlike certain things like food where you had to get food, and certain people may say, I have to get my hair cut.
Yeah.
But there was a time where you had to just shut down. And talk about how you guys got through COVID and how that difficulty might have inspired new innovative tactics. And what was that experience like?
So before I can talk about COVID, I want to give you a little history of this place and how it got started. So it was for a couple of years that I played with the idea of wanting something in the city, mainly because my social media traction was going up, and I would get sometimes a lot of calls from celebrities or other forms of stars, whether it's movies that they would come into the city.
Yep.
And my name always got brought up. But then when they called me and asked for service, and I told them I was in Brockton, they said, "Oh, that's too far." Then I said, "No, I gotta get in the city. I gotta be where it's happening, because if we don't, then
you're gonna miss out on these opportunities."
Gonna miss out on these opportunities, and also if I want to grow this brand to a level where it's gonna have a certain, like anchor.
Yep.
Or
and status.
Or status. Yeah, exactly.
It's like you had all the talent, but you just at the moment were only based in a place where people weren't willing to come for it.
People just in the community, correct. So we played with the idea. Then 2019, ready to go. Looked for a place. Started around July. By September, I had found a couple places. Looked into it.
And this is September 2019?
2019. So looked into a couple places. But in October, we discovered this location here because we were going to be down the street. But that location didn't work for us. It wasn't what we wanted in terms of design. So we came across this location, and this was a UPS store before we did this. And so we started this plan thinking we're going to hit the ground running by the time we had a deadline to open in April of 2020. And as we were...
I've had other plans.
Yeah, exactly. So as we were in construction, COVID hit. And man, we just panicked. I was like, man, I got this huge project, on my hand, and COVID hit. Now, I was funding a lot of the project with my other shop. Now my other shop was closed for 3 months.
So just to paint the picture, you start this process in 2019 to open up this location that we're in to be open in April.
Yeah.
February comes, you start hearing about COVID. March comes, and they're like, everything got to shut down.
We were naive, and when COVID happens, like, okay, so it didn't scare us. I mean, even, not to cut you off, but like even when March came, I think it was like March 20th, they shut everything down. It's like one of those days you don't forget.
Yep.
Because we say, okay, we're going to close the shop for a couple of days. So I remember March 16th, I called the Brockton shop because I had taken a couple months off to just solely focus on this project. And I called the shop and I said, hey, listen, we're gonna close down for a couple weeks. And see what's going on because this thing is killing people.
Yep.
And we thought it was something that, it's gonna, everybody was naive about it.
Exactly.
Kumbaya at the house with the kids for a couple of weeks. It was all fun and games, everybody loved it.
So that couple of weeks turned into a couple months.
Then a month goes by, 2 months go, it's like,
and your hair only getting longer too.
Oh yeah,
so
hair got longer, but not just that,
but
hair start thinning because then you start worrying,
So you got the biggest, seemingly a huge project on your hands and everything shut down.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
Man, I tried my best to stay calm. I always said, listen, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. But I was determined that this project was not gonna fail. I was willing to do everything to make sure this project didn't fail, and I used a lot of my own money to fund this project to make sure it didn't fail. Yeah. And I thank God today I did because, it took a little while for the shop to pick up, with people working from home, being in the financial district where is a place where I think most people working from home.
Exactly.
So it was a ghost town for a little while.
So that's a point that I didn't think of. After things got back to normal, COVID started to die down and open back up. The second issue became working from home. For you, that became an issue because you're in the heart of the financial district.
Correct.
And as you're saying, the heart of the financial district is now a little bit of a ghost town.
Yeah.
So that was a second challenge that you had to get over.
Man, listen, you could have gave me this space for free in in May or say even June of 2020 and say take it and just build it out and you be good, I'll say I don't think it's a good idea.
Wow.
And you know, before then it was the perfect idea.
Exactly.
It was the most ideal idea.
Exactly.
You know, but yeah, man, it was discouraging. It was very discouraging, and I almost felt like it might not doing the right thing in terms of promotion. But then you realize you're walking around and other businesses that have been in business for like 10, 15 years. Some businesses that have multiple locations are all shutting down.
Yeah.
Not just small business, but then you started seeing corporation, like big names
just going
away. Under.
Go away.
And then that's what says, you know what? It's not me. It's everybody else.
Yeah. It was the world. The world was
you know what I'm saying?
that it hadn't been
So when the PPP money came, at first I was feeling guilty about taking it because I was like, some people might need it more than me. And then I said, fuck that. I was like, man, like if anybody deserves this, it's me.
And you know what?
You know what I'm
obviously some people was out there with their PPP loans buying Gucci, saying they was starting their business and getting all these condos. But then again, you have entrepreneurs and business owners like yourself who went through a very real thing where you're trying to open up their shop, and that's who it was designed for.
Exactly.
So it's like, I mean, you could feel how you want, but clearly the money went to a good place.
Yeah. No, after a while, man, and I know today, like, you know, the world is kind of in shambles in terms of finance because of all that money they gave out. But imagine if they hadn't given that money out.
We would be in a lot worse place.
I think we would because, you know, as everybody knows, you know, small business is the backbone of what drives the economy and what hires the most people. And yeah, but we're here today, you know, and we're starting to get busy again. You know, help was hard to find, but help is starting to come around. So we feel like we're in a good place right now. You know,
no, that's good, man. Well, I'm happy to hear it. Now, one thing, obviously, I think COVID taught us all is that you got to innovate and you got to change a little bit. And I want to specifically talk about social media and how you leverage social media to help grow your business. Now, by just showing your business, but then now also you're moving into a space of like teaching.
Yeah.
And talk about that and your growth and how that's evolved into where we are now.
So I like to think that, you know, barbering for the last 5 years, even before COVID, we've been one of those like service industry that's been at the front game of being innovative with social media. And now I'm starting to see like other trends of like, you know, automotive and people in other trades starting to highlight their workspace and their talent. But I think barbering and cutting hair has been doing it for a little while and it's caught a lot of traction. For some reason, people are interested in watching these type of videos. And I thought I started very well doing my social media, in all honesty. Having this project at one point really overwhelmed me in a lot of sense that I backed up and backtracked from social media to a point where I felt like my follower wasn't growing. But if we really want to talk about social media, to me it was just about showcasing the true essence of your art, whether it's taking photos of your haircut or just showing who you are as a barber. And when COVID happened, I think a lot of barbers that had a lot of following realized that maybe after all, this thing is not so recession proof through everything, you know? And it was a wake up call to it. I think almost every industry, good and bad, because now it's hard to have people who have a certain like service industry. They're looking for people to hire, but they found other avenues in other ways.
Exactly.
But I think it shows that you have to be dynamic. It shows that you need to have different platforms. And this being as a service business, and what I realized is that if you have a shop, eventually maybe it's important that you are moving products. It might not even be your own products, but you can do resale. And
you gotta grow. You gotta grow and expand.
Or whether you have, you know, a YouTube channel. This is it's a very small percentage. It's a small niche in that. But a lot of barbers, what they were doing, they were making residual off their other platforms, like whether it was on YouTube, Instagram, you know, TikTok was starting to get big around that time. And I think some people found a platform of realizing that they can make money online.
And I think that's important because to grow and innovate, you have to keep learning and you have to stay aware of like, all right, my business might be doing okay, but is there a way that can do better?
Yeah.
And I think everybody as business owners, as entrepreneurs, small business owners, we get comfortable in a space that if business is coming in, but we fail to realize that there might be growth opportunities that we're missing. So with you specifically, I've seen the explosion of you getting into, at one point, explaining your cuts, walking through your cuts, obviously showcasing it, but now actually your turn is transitioning into maybe a teaching aspect of it, where you're giving some game out.
Yeah, that's the goal. And
so,
you know,
because I need to be able to get my flick right. You know what I'm saying? Get my fades.
The thing is, a lot of stuff is saturated, right? You have almost, because people figuring out that people want to watch videos of people cutting hair so they can learn. So everyone is creating tutorial. Yeah. So how do you create tutorial, or how do you do teaching to a point where it now is unique in doing that? So we have the academy that we're launching the beginning of it was supposed to be for this year, but we got so backed up with this project that we're pushing it to 2023. No exact month yet because we're still working on a couple back end stuff. But I think by like January, February, we'll have exact day of when we're going to launch.
So is it going to be a teaching course just taught by you, or is it going to be multiple staff?
No, it'll be different. It'll be a platform for different artists. This is not just for me. So we're creating this platform to be a platform where other artists can use, and that's what we want to use to get people to say, this is how, you know, on my Sundays, like say if you want to make an extra $1, you don't want to go into the shop, you can do that. You know, and a lot of ways too is like people are just doing home service. Yeah. That's becoming a big thing. Yep. You know, and the price point is starting to change. Some people are getting it that realize you gotta know how to put your logistics and price together. Where somebody sometimes will call and be like, "Oh, I want to cut. Can you do it? Can you do it for 50?" So you want me to pack up all my stuff, get in my car, drive, be stuck in traffic, unload, and set up, give you a haircut, clean the space, put it back up, and head back for $50.
Yeah.
And I was like, what barber in their right mind would want to do this service unless they're looking to gain your clientele? But then again, if you do that for $50, then it's almost like you can't do it again for a different price because they're gonna be like, why? Okay, you did it.
Yeah.
And it's also too, it shows people once people learn your value, that you don't value yourself, they don't take you serious.
Yep.
So if you want my service, if you want me to leave my establishment or my house to go cut you, is because you really want me to cut you, versus out of everybody else you can
gotta
call.
Charge accordingly for that.
Yeah. And that's a luxury service. I mean, you come into the shop, we're gonna charge a regular price. But there are luxury prices that you gotta pay, just like you don't pay $1 for your Heineken at the club. You know what I'm saying? It's a
convenience charge.
It's a convenience charge. You know what I'm saying?
So you recognize that early. Now, obviously, you mentioned the word luxury, and I'd be remiss if I did not bring up that the place that we're sitting in right now is one of the most luxurious barbershops that I've been in. And why was it important to you to create such a space that not only, had good haircuts, but like every detail was top notch?
I think it's about, just like we go back to what we said earlier, it's about making people feel good. And I think this is part of it, enriching their experience, right? And some people might say, oh, like the place is nice because you want to charge more. I think that's part of what we want to do. But there's a difference in everything that we do. Just like you can wear $60 shoes, or you can wear designer shoes for $200 or $300. Or
which designer shoes for $200? Where you shopping?
No, I'm just saying.
$1,000.
I'm just saying.
I don't have no designer shoes. I got the bootleg shoes from the bootlegger that was selling in front of your shop out there.
But as an example, is with everything, and we have tailored different prices in the shop for different people. And it started by accident because during COVID, because we knew a lot of people were they were very afraid of spending their money, at least in the beginning, because they didn't know what the outcome was. So we tailored like an express service. And the express service started as something that we were just doing temporarily and we're going to get rid of. And it became very successful that now we keep it.
Yeah.
But then we have our high-end services that we do where you get a little bit more pampering, you know? Well, we also wanted to differentiate that where people know, oh, I paid $50, I didn't get a hot towel. No, it's exactly what it is. It's an express service designed for people on the go that want to be in and out in 20 minutes. And I think that has helped us out a lot in how we do that.
Now, also, you know, in terms of innovation with social media is one thing, but there's been some innovations in the barbering world that you've embraced too. I mean, because now you could walk in here bald head and leave with some hair on your head. Talk about what's going on with the ability for men now who are balding. I don't know that because, you know, I'm blessed.
Yeah, you're definitely blessed.
You're
a very small percentage.
Exactly. Let's knock on something up in here.
Less than 5%.
Hey, let's do it. Yeah. But no, talk about like you now are offering service for men who don't have hair and able to bring some hair back, almost resurrect some hair.
I mean, we live in a vanity world, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to look, I wouldn't say everybody, but most people want to look young and they want to maintain this youthful look. And for men, as we know, you might not have this experience, but a lot of men who are thinning, sometimes it creates a lot of confidence issues.
Yeah.
You know?
The confidence is real. I mean, I look in the mirror every day like, is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, not yet.
But it's also that point where you decide if you want to keep it or not.
Yeah.
And
you got that's got to be a difficult decision. But it's like, I got to embrace this or let it go.
So the man unit, is that
what it's called? The man unit?
Well, depending where you go, they use different terms.
What do you call it?
Well, around this way, we call it a man unit.
Okay.
So
and let's describe for people who might be like, a man unit. What the hell are they talking about?
So a man unit is for people who are thinning or balding.
Okay.
You have to be a qualified candidate. You know,
you gotta fill out like an application.
No, not just that, but it works best in people who are not too bald. Like you can't just have hair around your ears and think that you're gonna get a man unit.
So you gotta be a certain kind of bald to make this work.
You gotta
because from what I've seen, like you kind of gotta grow out a little bit here.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just.
You can't have one of those George Jefferson like hairlines.
Yeah, it can't be super low. It gotta be kind of like a higher George Jefferson.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. So what it does, it's a cheaper temporary fix for people that maybe don't want to get hair implant or maybe are too far bald to get implants as well, because with implants you have to have a certain amount of graft. Now they can only take out so much graft out of the back of your head before they start to go into other
and not to mention
parts.
Like you said, that's got to be crazy expensive to get an actual hair transplant.
So in the United States it can be upwards of like 40 grand.
Oh no, I'm gonna just go bald.
But you have other countries that are doing it, like nowadays everybody know Turkey is like the mecca for getting hair implants.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
because once again I didn't need to know that.
Maybe in a couple years there's
a couple years. I'm first class.
You're all set, brother.
Straight to Turkey.
Yeah.
No, so all right. So again, let's describe this, because again, I think it's important for a lot of people that might not know. If you're wearing a man unit, is there like certain things you can't do? Like, can you get in the pool? So
there's different ways that you can do man units. There's different styles of weaves. There's different process of doing it. There's ways you can do it with. They use actually track hair that people braid with, where especially like if I want to achieve a Caesar cut as low as yours, most of the time they would use that material, and a lot of times it's used.
Is it hair or is it like a synthetic?
So you can use real human hair, which obviously gets a bit more expensive. Some people use synthetic hair, but you would apply glue to that. Okay. And those units are designed for short wear, so they design anywhere from like 2 weeks. Some people keep it in for 6 weeks, but it's not designed to be that long, because what happens is you need to shower, Also your hair's
gotta
growing
take
black.
care of it, yeah.
But you know your dead skin falls, so you need to exfoliate. So you don't want to keep it for sanitation purposes and health purposes. You don't want to keep
your
it
man
that long.
unit to start stinking.
Yeah, you don't want to be like everywhere you go.
You don't want your significant other to be like, what's that smell?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my man unit, baby.
But
I'm
then
sorry,
they
I gotta
have-
go get it fixed.
Exactly, right?
Yo, have you ever had a situation where you didn't apply the man unit right or something, and it like dude came back and said his girl was trying to touch his head and it slipped off?
With man units, it takes a lot of consultations and sometimes you guarantee the man unit if it falls off, like say if you drive and the man unit falls off, which is not supposed to.
Yeah, you can't
be in your convertible and all of a sudden the hair goes into the wind. And you turn back to your girl and be like, where's the dude that I started the day with? You know what I'm saying?
All right. And also, do you recommend like dudes who come in bald to just get man units? 'Cause I seen them with braids too.
Yeah, you can do it in everything.
You bald if you walk in bald, and then you leave with a man unit with some braids.
Listen,
because dude's gonna be like, bruh.
My profession is not to judge. Here's the thing.
So whatever. You letting somebody bald walk out with some braids?
Listen. My goal is to make people achieve what they want to achieve.
You letting them be them.
So one thing I promised myself I will not do beard units. That to me is just something that's
candidate for a beard unit.
You're gonna have to find somebody else. I can do it on you as a demonstration.
Okay, good. But I only need it for like a couple days.
That to me is just extreme. I think here is.
See, why you saying that? You got a nice beard. I'm just trying to. I want to.
But we got to trade off. You got the hairline, so you can't get it all.
That's true.
You can't get it all, man.
So a beard unit is a thing now too.
It's the smaller market. Very few people do beard units, but men units is a big business. Like there are some people that they were barbers. They don't even do barbering service. I mean, you still have to do barber because you got to shape the menu, you got to cut. But they are not cutting regular people no more. All they're doing is men units.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I laugh about it, but in all truth, I've seen some on the internet, and I mean, again, I'm not right up on the dude, but over the internet, I mean, it looks clean. It looks professional.
No, it's done right. When it's done right,
can get their hair, fake hair and weaves. Well, it's time for men to be able to join that club.
Yeah, no, but people have it. Depending on what community or what environment you come from. People have been wearing wigs for centuries. If you go back in the 17th, early founding fathers of America, you never see a photo. Those were not some natural curls. You know what I'm saying?
George Washington didn't have that nice fluffy white hair.
So
that was a man unit.
It was a man, but everybody in the justice system, in courts, everybody wore a hairpiece.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That was just part of your uniform. It was part of your attire. So, but we get into a place I think where men are starting to feel comfortable again, where they can feel confident to come into a barbershop and do a man unit and walk out with it and have a sense of pride in it too.
And if you ever need some practice applying a beard unit, I'll be
your
candidate.
You, man.
Thank you.
I told you, man.
If you just dabbling, you want to learn.
We'll just do it for a post, man. But
exactly.
I'm not promoting that I'm doing it.
I'm definitely down for that post. Trust me. But I want to go back real quick because you mentioned that your father's a barber. And I've had the pleasure of meeting your father and getting a haircut from him. Definitely excellent barber. But you recently had a child now.
Yeah.
And talk about that. And how does it feel to become a father now?
Oh, man, I joined your club, man.
You have a son. Congratulations.
Man, it's the most amazing feeling ever, man. The thing with having a child and being a business owner, you never realize how important time is and how much dedication and time it takes, especially in the first couple of months with sleep. But the thing is, it doesn't feel like a task.
Yeah.
It's not dreadful.
Exactly.
Because you look forward to every moment, every minute to spend with your kid, even when you have to get up 3, 4 in the morning, to maybe say burp your kid or change their diapers. and you'll go back to sleep knowing that it was worth getting up at that time versus
it is one of those things
the neighbor's car alarm go off, you know, something like that.
It's one of those things where, like, when, you know, as a parent, before you have kids and you hear people like, oh, you got to wake up at this time and this time, and you hear that and you start to fear like, damn, do I want to have a kid?
I think psychologically your mind changes. I think your mind gets rewired.
It does.
You know, in all
because
honesty,
that's what I was going to say. When you hear about those things, you're like, bro, why would I want to have a kid? But then when you have a kid, like you said, you realize that it is work, but it's a work, it's a labor of love.
Yeah.
You know what
Correct,
I'm saying?
exactly.
So, and I think that's
I think that's with everything, though.
Yeah.
Like, say if you love what you do, you can do it for 14, 16 hours a day, and maybe, but by the time you get home, you might feel a little exhausted, but you're not gonna cry and complain about it, or you're not gonna say, I want to quit this tomorrow. Do you ever get up tomorrow and say, I don't want to be a father anymore?
No.
You know? Well, I mean, maybe some people have.
You know, my kid's preteen, so once your son get preteen, you might be saying that a couple times, like, this motherfucker. Like my son, like getting tall, and you know, he's starting to buck up a little bit
and testing you out.
It's different. It's funny because, like, it's funny you say that because you never want to quit, obviously, being a father. But it changes, and you go through these stages of, like, you know, wow, like, it's a learning process like everything else. Every day you're just learning, and I think staying committed to that process is all you have to do. I tell my son all the time, like, listen, there's no manual to this. So it's like, if I make a mistake, and I'm big on apologizing to my kids, which, you know, I didn't always get from my parents, but sometimes it's like I tell my son straight up, like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I don't have a manual to this. I know how to do photography
we can go on YouTube.
Yeah, like, I can go on YouTube to maybe learn how to cut hair a little bit. But, like, to kids, it's, you know, it's different. And I think, like I tell him, it's just about, like, I'm learning every day. But the one thing, like you said, is I'm committed.
Yeah.
And I'm going to commit to every day trying to be better than I was the day before and learn from those mistakes. But did you have any like urges when you seen your child to like try to line them up real quick?
Nah, never. Not yet.
You didn't do that, nah. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I gotta be a thing. Like,
listen, I gotta say something. I don't know if I was blessed because I was, but my kid got a full head of hair.
Damn.
Yeah. That's the first thing that everybody when they meet him or they see him, even when we out in public and people always say, oh my God, look at that kid, he's got a full head of hair. He's got a full head of hair. I'm talking about. He looked like he got a man unit on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right out of, like, that's
you gotta tell people, you like, listen, I didn't give one to him. I promise.
That's how much hair he's got. He's got one of those full man units.
Nah,
like, you
man,
know?
that's dope, man. But well, I mean, I definitely think.
But that's
a
the question
thing,
I get a lot though. People's like, oh my God, this son is gonna have the dopest haircut. You know, honestly. I've told my wife this. I probably won't cut his hair until he's a couple of years old. I've always, you know, liked if the kid has if the hair feels the kid right. I think it's nice as a kid because also, I think I've seen parents bring their kids into the shop and they traumatize the kid by trying to give him a haircut too early. Because it's not because the kids. They obviously don't understand. You need to have a level of comprehension to understand, like, happening? What's the process?
Yeah, you got some loud
why am
noise
I here?
on your head.
Why do I need a haircut? Am I going to a meeting? Like,
and most times, to your point, it's the
that
parents
idea, though, is that conditioning.
Want their kids to have a cut.
And, you know, most people tell you, Lex is a barber. Why is he saying that? Because I think kids at a certain age, if their hair is growing nice, it's not becoming a problem where now, say, you can't like brush it or condition it or wash it. Then I would say then it's okay to cut your child's hair. But I think if your child has the hair that's manageable and the hair is healthy and it's not breaking and it looks cute on the kid,
let it
don't
go.
worry about it. Nobody's you're gonna feel ashamed if somebody that says, is that a girl or a boy? You know, sometimes you hear that, but I think let a child be a child and go through that experience with them when they're ready to have a haircut so you don't traumatize them. And I believe in that for my kid, you know?
That's an excellent point, man. Well, again, man, I mean, I think we talked about a range of things, but before we get up out of here, man, what is the future of Marvelous Cuts and Lex look like, man? Where are you trying to take this in 5, 10, 15 years?
So I like to say we go with the adjustment of how the industry is changing. And oh boy, this industry is changing fast. You know, 20 years ago, if you open a shop like this, I think the day you announced that you're opening, you would have a line I'm talking about a line down the street of people putting application to work with you. But barbershops have changed a lot. You have a lot of this independent movement where a lot of people want to work for themselves. I think it works well for some people who have created a very strong brand, and they are able, say, if they're confident in their price and their work and their price, they can charge a lot and do very well. But I think the barbershop is an important place for a barber to develop, because nothing will teach you to be a barber better than working in a barbershop. Yeah. I don't care how long you've worked in the studios. Yeah. Nothing. It's a different experience. It's a different experience. Being able to work amongst other professionals, you will never learn as fast as you do when you work with other people who are just as talented as you. But also, is the environment of a barbershop. People go there with a certain idea, a certain charisma, and a certain expectation that you can't get in anywhere else. Yeah. And with the vision for Marvelous is just, we want to continue to grow this brand in terms of, in excellence, and showing who we are culturally, spiritually, and also our representation of what is the exception of the art of hair. Even with being in a place that's very diverse, I would like to say, like Brockton, where you have, people that have all different forms of hair, coarse, curly, straight, kinky. You get, as a barber, you get to basically do all these type of haircuts, and you become very versatile, in all these haircuts as a barber. Versus you have people who work in a community that they only do on one texture of hair. Yeah, your styles, your skill set doesn't grow. It doesn't grow. It doesn't grow, but you also can't just get up and go to a different community, because that's true. You're not going to be efficient or effective. You're too niche. Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's the thing that we try to do, is diversity is very important to us, to all the shops, even the shop in the financial district. One of our main thing that when we started here, we wanted to make sure that we show diversity and that we bring everybody from different background in. And if you notice on our, website and our social media, you'll see different variations of hair textures, people of all walks of life. So that's very important to us. And we want to continue to grow, Marvelous. We want to franchise it, and we also want to give growth an opportunity of people who've been with us in-house for them to become owners as well. Yeah. And that's our goal, is that we continue to grow, and the people that want to step up and say, we want to be owners, or we want to be managers, you have a position for you. You have an opportunity for that. That's dope, and, it's a lifestyle brand too, so we plan to do a lot more stuff with it as well. One last question before I get up out of here. Who cuts your hair? Man, I go through everybody in the shop. This haircut I actually got it in Brockton. I got it by my barber Paulo over there. But I let all my guys cut my hair. You're not picky. It's not that I'm not picky, but it's my barbers. I trust them. I gave them a job is because I believed in their skill set. So anybody in my shop cuts my hair. Damn, that's a dope thing right there. One more question: who motivates you? What are some barbers that motivate you to keep pushing and trying harder? Man, there are a lot of barbers, depending on, because I follow people for different reasons. I follow people because of their business aspect. I follow people because of their creativity aspect. I follow people because of how much work ethic they have. I follow people because of how inspirational I find them in all dimensions of even behind the chair and outside of the chair. So I'd have a lot. Like Mr. Official is definitely one of my favorite barbers. I like Lex Andre. I like Tyreek the Barber because of his educational piece of it. There's so many barbers out there. I could sit here and name over 100 barbers that inspires me. Well, that's dope, man. Yeah. Well, that's definitely a dope thing, man. And again, I'm so appreciative of your time. I know it's valuable that you welcome us into this, no pun intended, pleasure's all space. Mine. And I wish you nothing but success, man. I've seen you grow your business, already successful at the Brockton location,
into this, and I mean the world is just ahead of you, man, and I'm sure that you got a lot more growing to do, man.
That's the
And
goal,
however
man.
we can help, definitely let me know. So anytime you need me, man, just call on me, especially for the beard unit, you know what I mean?
Maybe we're gonna have to do the beer unit, man. Yeah.
Real quick, tell the people how they can learn about you and figure out how to book an appointment or just learn more about the business.
So if you want to learn more about Marvelous Cuts, go to marvelouscuts.com. You can pick one of our 2 locations that we have, and we have a About Us page. We have a service page. We also have a career page for people who are interested in looking to join our team as well, all on our website, marvelouscuts.com. You can also check out social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're also on TikTok now, because you got to be on TikTok.
Got to be on TikTok.
Follow me on TikTok and Instagram, Lex_Andre. Check out some of my work and also get to learn a little about me and my personal time as well, you know?
That's dope, man. Yeah. Well, I definitely, like I said, appreciate you taking your time out to welcome us into Marvelous Cuts, into this luxurious, modern, sleek, comfortable, fresh barbershop. And, I haven't been in a barbershop. It's a funny story. I talk about how I met you from cutting my hair, but I haven't been in a barbershop to actually get a haircut in about like 5 years.
I know, you told me.
Yeah,
I'm actually proud of you, because I'm like, this dude, I mean, talking about who cuts my hair, I was going to say, who the hell cuts your hair? Because it is looking good, brother.
No, man, I mean, it's weird. Like, I started cutting my own hair, honestly, just because I think, just like you, we're creative. You know what I mean? We're artists.
Yeah.
And I think we always are just looking for a way to, like, exhibit that creativity.
Correct.
And one day I just was like, I learned everything on YouTube. I'm like, I wonder if I could cut hair.
Yeah.
And thankfully,
I wish it was through my channel. You know?
Yeah, see, well, one day it will be.
Yeah.
But thankfully, my hair keeps growing, and I knew that if I messed up, which I have, I went through those many stories where the clippers came off, the guard came off, and I was bald. But no, honestly, it was something that I got into, and I love it. I still want to come to a barbershop, and when I do come back, I'm gonna come back to you for sure, or anybody in the shop. But no, it's dope to be able to, I definitely still miss that feeling of coming into a barbershop. You know what I mean?
That's a good point that you made. That's what I was going to say with, with the internet and how available it is for you to learn anything. A lot of people have learned to cut their own hair, especially after COVID. But that's what you're missing, though, is that coming to a barbershop is just, you come in for the experience.
Yeah.
And you don't even come for the haircut. And sometimes people will call and be like, how much is a haircut? I'll be like, before I tell you how much the haircut is, what are you looking for? You looking for quality or price? If you're looking for price, you got the wrong number.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, you know? And depending on, everybody's got different budget, and I understand that. There's a market for every barber.
Exactly.
Just like there's a barber for every client.
Yeah, exactly.
And I might not be the right barber for you, but you also might not be the right client for me, and I'm okay with that.
And that's okay with that. And that's business.
Yeah,
and that's not personal.
Yeah.
But no, man, I thank you for your time, man. Thank you for coming out and checking us out on the Clearance Rack podcast. You're welcome back anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, what more can I say? It's been a wonderful conversation, getting to know Lex and everything about his past, his present, and where he's taking it. And do me a favor, if you want to see more great content like this, just continue to support us. All I ask is that you click like, leave a comment, and definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to try to keep dropping these with frequencies. And if you maybe leave 15 comments on this video, the next time I show up, I might have a beard. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, check us out right here. Same channel. This is the Clearance Rack Podcast.